Just adjusting. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to Crafty Hour number 25. Number 25. This is the Halloween set. And oh my gosh, has this one been so much fun to play with. I know a lot of the other Crafty Hours have been cutesy and lots of layers. And this one, we got to get down and dirty and grungy and have a good old time. So I hope you guys are loving the Halloween look. This is the only Halloween Crafty Hour we will have. The next one will be fall, that you guys have already signed up for. And the one after that will be another season coming up. So, a little sneak there. So, hello and good evening, everybody. I'm going to let the numbers grow for a little bit. I signed on early. Just to make sure our volume and everything is okay. Is the sound okay? For some reason, we had some issues during Maker Mania, and I don't know if it was the storm that was passing through, or our internet, or what was happening. But we had a little bit of audio issues, but it looks like nobody's... Okay, good. Thank you, Gan. She said sound is great, so... It must have been the fluke storm that was going through during Maker Mania that caused me to sound like a robot, or who knows what it was doing. So anyways, I hope you guys tuned in this morning, and it was noon our time, and watched Jo. Jo was her first time to join us for Crafty Hour, and it was great to see her styles and her interpretations of this. And then Diane jumped on the last 10 minutes and showed us her interpretations and inspirations. And I love it because both of them have two completely different styles. And then, so Diane had the very clean cut, very layers, very nice. And then Jo had some techniques in hers. And now I'm going to throw some inks and paints at you guys on this one. So you're getting like 3 different designs. Excuse me. So I kind of said today, it's kind of like a mini Maker Mania almost, because we all have, the designers all have the same kit, the same contents, and we came up with 3 completely different looks, 3 completely different cards, and it was fun. And like I said, I love Halloween. I love the decorations. I love the, oh my gosh, there's just so much you can do with it. So we're going to play with some inks. We're going to play with some texture paste. I know the list I posted was a little daunting. Some of you guys are like, oh my God, I don't have all that. You don't need all of that. I just posted what I was using. So if you did have it, great, grab it. If you don't have it, great. You don't have to. You can sub in something else. And I'll kind of let you know at certain points or certain areas, if you don't have what I'm using, I'll give you an idea for other things you can use. But then you might see something and be like, oh my God, I love what she did there. I love what she used. I have to have that Tim Holtz black paste. So this was kind of to show you guys and introduce you to some new products, but then also show you techniques. I love techniques. I love to do so many techniques and stuff, and I want to teach you guys. I don't want to just complete a card each time. I want to teach you something new. So that's kind of my ideas, hopes, and dreams here. So these 2 cards we'll definitely use. These 2 cards is doing everything in your kit. This is using the paper pads. It's using those dies. Actually, this was an add-on. And then this one is that add-on embossing folder and stencil that I know a lot of you guys grabbed. So I wanted to do something with that because that one sung to me. I really wanted to do it. And when Deanna and I were working on the kits, we really wanted to put that one in the kit, but we wanted to keep the price down. The whole point of Crafty Hour is it's only an hour crafting, so it's short and sweet, so you have time to do it, and it's affordable. We like to try to keep it under a certain price point, so that way you guys can participate in it. Because I know sometimes the $50 and $60 classes, not everybody can afford that. And then you're like, oh, I missed out because I really wanted to learn that, or I really wanted to do that. So that's what we're trying to do with Crafty Hours, keep it affordable for you. So that way everybody can join in and play. Okay, I think our numbers have quit growing. So on these cards, we're going to have to bounce around a little bit because we're going to have to let some items dry and pull out some other things. So I'm just going to sit these guys right in front of me so I can kind of see what we're doing. And we're going to do a couple items. So let me grab my first kit. So card number 1, this piece of paper. I loved all the papers that were in these kits. There were some papers that are like a good background. There's some that were like stripes or different things like that. But these had little scenes on them. And I love that they built little Halloween scenes. And I wanted to kind of focus on that and not cover up a lot of it. And I really wanted to use the A sides and not just use the B sides as a layer. So on this card, let me pull her back in. We're going to build this little scene right here and keep this paper. This paper was fantastic. I didn't want to cover too much of it. I know a background's a background because it's a background, but I wanted to focus and accentuate some of the backgrounds on these. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to grab this piece of paper right here and we're going to put it in our trimmer. So you have the haunted house upright. And we want to keep this portion right here, okay? So we're going to go over to 4 inches and we're going to slice it. So what we're doing is we're chopping off this tree just a little bit. So keep your house upright. Keep your house upright. That's hilarious. Okay, so keep your house upright. This piece, just chop her off. We're not going to use it. Throw it in the discard pile for something later, okay? Then we're going to rotate your house. Zoop. So we have pumpkins over here. We want to keep these pumpkins. We're keeping the pumpkins. We're going to cut it at 5.5. Now, a lot of my cards are going to be weird sizes. They are big sizes. They are weird sizes because I wanted to focus on the background and focus on what was here. So that is why we're going to have larger sizes. So on my cards right now, what we're going to focus on is doing the card itself. I did what I call card toppers. So all these are not on bases yet. All you have to do is just cut your cardstock, add a base to it later. We all know how to cut bases. We all know how to make cards things. So we're just going to focus on the fronts and then you can adhere them later. A lot of times when I make cards, I just do the fronts and then I mat them later because maybe I want to mat it on a blue piece of paper or a pattern piece of paper on the inside. I don't always want white, so that's where I kind of plan those later. So there's our pattern piece of paper. It is cut 4 by 5.5, 4 by 5.5, and we are focusing on this scene right here, okay? Next, we're going to grab the stencil that was in the set. I loved these stencils. This stencil here, we are going to grab out the one that has all of these things on it. I know that was very specific, right? Grab that stencil right there. Uh-oh. I think I lost some ghosts. I pulled them out and I'm losing pieces. Don't lose your ghosts. Okay, so let me put those over to the side so I don't lose them. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to apply stencil paste. So this little spider, we're going to put him in the top corner. We're going to use black stencil paste and a palette knife. If you do not have black stencil paste, that's okay. Take a blending tool and a black ink pad and ink it black. See, you can always use what you have. Just ink it up with black. If you have stencil paste, we're going to apply the stencil paste. We're just going to whoosh it right over the top. And then, so Tim Holtz came out with that opaque black for Halloween, which is delicious, which is going to be perfect for this right there. So there is my spider. Then you're just going to hold your finger down and then hinge it up and away. Up and away, like Superman. Up and away. Okay? So we're going to sit him to the side. I'm going to spritz this with water and just clean it off with a paper towel really quick. You never want your paste to dry on your stencils. If they do, you now have an embellishment. Because the paste will get stuck down into your grooves and stuff. and it can destroy your stencil. So I'm just going to hit it with some water. And something else you could do as you're cleaning these is put them on a scrap piece of paper or a scrap tag and see how that makes kind of a cool ghosting kind of technique. That looks really cool if you do it on your paper too. Okay, so my spider is all clean, and you kind of want to make sure your stencil's dry, because the next thing we're going to do is add stenciling to the bottom. So on here, you can see where I took that graveyard scene with all the tombstones and stuff, and we're going to stencil that on the bottom. Again, if you do not have stencil paste, that's okay. You can use, I want to go this way, I want the hand, and that's a nice thing about stencils too. You can use them this way, you can use them that way, you can flip your stencils to get different looks out of them. So I'm just going to kind of center that there. I'm going to take a little piece of tape and kind of hold it down. Now when I do stenciling, I like to pull it down. So I'm going to put my object sideways, and we're just going to stencil along the bottom side. Again, if you do not have black stencil paste, Tim Holtz has a great one he came out with in the Halloween line. Also came out with glow in the dark. I almost used the glow in the dark on the ghosts, but I didn't, because I didn't have any at home when I was working on my projects. But the glow in the dark would be fantastic for those ghosts if you have it. Okay, so we are just putting the black stencil paste there along the bottom. Any excess you have just goes right back into your jar, and put your lid on tight, and you will keep doing that. Yep, if you do not have black paste, just use your blending tool and do black ink, or you could do Versamark. And I'm just going to throw this in my stencil bath really quick, since I'm not going to clean this one. I'm done with this stencil, so I'm just going to clean it later. So if you have that where you're going to clean it later, I just put it into a dish of water, and then that way it stays wet and I can come back later and clean it up. Whoop, about out of water. Okay, so this guy is done. We are going to set him to the side and let him dry. If you don't have stencil paste, like I said, use black ink. You could also use Versamark ink, which is a clear ink, and use black embossing powder. That would also give you a cool effect. There is so many different things that you can do with stencils. Stencils to me are a tool. You can use them over and over and over again. So that guy is all ready. We're going to sit him to the side, and we're going to let him dry, and we'll come back to him because we're going to add the ghost. We're going to do a ghosting technique. Haha, put up, ching. That's my pun for the night. Ghosting technique. We're going to ghost it. Anyways, letting our paste dry. So the next card we're going to come to is this one right here. So we're going to card number 2. Like I said, we're going to bounce around a little bit so that way things can dry while we're working on other pieces. Ooh, sorry, I had to go bump the AC. It's getting warm. It gets warm with all these lights on. Okay, so card number 2. What we're going to do is a fractured card. Fractured card. But first, what we need to do is build our little scene. So what you're going to need is a piece of white cardstock, and we're going to cut it to a square, 2 by 2 square, 2 by 2. I'm just going to make sure mine is the right size. Yes, 2 by 2 white square. I also put on the list that you needed a circle punch that was like 1 3/8. All you're going to do is take your circle punch, and you're going to punch out a scrap piece of paper. And doesn't matter what color, doesn't matter what it is, we are going to use it as a mask. So what we're going to do is some inking on this background to build this little Halloween scene. Is that not cute? Okay, So we're going to build that Halloween scene. We are going to put your square, since we're doing a fractured card and we want something in the center, we're going to put it like a diamond. We're going to color it yellow. We're going to color it yellow first. Use whatever yellow ink you have. It can be oxide inks. It can be pink fresh inks. Whatever you have, use what you have. We're just going to take some yellow and we're going to put yellow right there. Okay? Because that's where our little moon's going to go. So just make sure you have enough yellow ink right where your little moon's going to go. Okay? Then I'm going to put a little bit of repositionable adhesive on it. You can put some tape. You can hold it with your finger. We're going to put and mask that off. I'm going to kind of go off the edge of it just a little bit, just like that. So what this little circle now is doing, it's acting like a masking on that. Oh, thank you, Cindy. Hello, Amy. Welcome, welcome. Okay, then we're going to grab some ink pads. So I told, let's see, what did I do? I definitely grabbed black. I grabbed purple. And I grabbed blue. I think I grabbed blue. I don't know. You know what happens when you do something and then you come back to it? And I think I grabbed green. Again, you don't have to have all these colors. I just wanted to build like a little midnight kind of scene, a little ghosting scene. Oop, my little circle popped off. Okay, so I'm going to go in with my green, and I just have peeled paint, and I'm just going to go in. I guess the sky's not really green. I'm going to go in right along the edge of that. Then I'm going to go in with my blue. Oh, that's turquoise. I'm going to go, I have faded jeans. Again, whatever blue you have. And I'm going to come in and go around that. Oops. Oh, shift. And I'm just kind of building around that scene. There's my blue. And then I'm going to come in with purple as my last color. So it's kind of radiating out. And I got a little overzealous there with my purple. So I'm going to go back in with my blue, pardon the reach, and just kind of blend that out a little bit. So I'm going back in with my blue. Okay, and there's kind of our midnight sky. I like to go in with the black and edge everything in black. It just really makes the colors pop. Hello? Oh, you're fine. I know, sometimes autocorrect does not like my name. It likes to autocorrect my name sometimes too. Okay, so now we're just edging everything in black. And that is just combining all those colors and making them one. Okay, how's everybody doing? Are we crafting along or just watching and learning? Okay, because I used, and looky there, there's our moon. Da, 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 da. Because I used oxide inks, they're water reactive. So I'm going to do spritz and flick. I'm spritzing in my hand. Woo, we're going to have a hailstorm there. I'm flicking it off, and then I am just going to hit it with a paper towel, or hit it with a rag, and see how that pulls up some of that. And my moon's a little dirty because my rag was dirty. So I'm going to go right along the edge because that is too white for me. And I'm going to add my black just to the edge of that moon so it matches. Okay? So there is our little midnight scene. Cute little midnight scene. Okay, so now I need to clean my mat off. Hey, Ken? Yeah. Can you come here? water bottle, please? Thanks. Okay, so there's our midnight scene. We're going with that. And we've got our little piece. So now we need to cut our pattern paper down. Our pattern paper is going to be this one right here. Again, I love the scenes, and I wanted to build with these and create with these. So our pattern paper is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to put it in our trimmer with the Halloween scene facing up. So witches up. And we're going to cut it at 4. And then we're going to flip it and do 5 1/4. So we have our witch up in that top corner. 5 1/4. Okay, so what I'm doing is the technique's called a fractured card. So here's what a fractured card is. It looks like the card is broke and fractured. I thought Halloween, fractured, breaking glass was perfect. So I thought I have to do that style of card for this. So that's what we're going to do with this. We're going to take our little square and we're going to come in here and we're going to glue him down. And when we glue him down, we want him tip straight. We want these guys straight, and we want to come over far enough that we have room to put our strips. So we're going to cut black strips. They're going to be 1/4 of an inch. These are just scraps. These are actually ones that I had before, so we're just going to use them. It is 1/4 of an inch. Doesn't matter how long it is because we are going to snip the hangover. Don't you wish it was that easy? Snip the hangover. And the little square, like I said, we want him to look like a diamond. Looking like a diamond. A diamond in the sky. Okay, so there's our main piece. So with the fractured cards, you always have a shape in the center and then you build out and around it. Ooh, I forgot to ink the outside edges black. Everything gets black. When in doubt, add black. Okay, when in doubt, add black. Okay, so there's our black. Now we're going to take our strips and we're going to start with our first strip and we're going to go with this top corner and line him up to the edge, and he is just going to go off the edge and you're going to line him up right there. So he is going right along that square. Then our next piece, make sure it's long enough. Check. Our next piece is just going to go around that also. So we are just following the pattern around our piece. Whew, we're already 20 minutes in. I am going to run out of time. This is what happens when you do techniques. Run out of time. Okay. Then we're going to fasten that on there. It might be okay. And we are just following it along that pattern, gluing it on there. Oh, thank you, Evelyn. The moon is spectacular. I love inking. Just inking makes things pop. Okay, and then we have our last strip. So this is a great way to use up your scraps because you know we all have little baggies of scraps that deep down in our heart we cannot throw them away because there's going to be a project for it. Here is that project. Here's that project. Anybody see my lid? There it is. Okay, so now we've got those pieces on. We're just going to flip it and snip it. So we're going to flip it over, and whatever is hanging over just gets snipped. Snip, snip. So it is going to be flush with the edge. Okay, so there you go. There is a fractured card. Easy peasy. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and mat it. So we need a piece of black cardstock. That is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Then that is going to go right in the center. And you're going to glue her down. Right in the center and glue her down. Well, my glue's going to clog on me. I always try to unclog before every class, but you know, sometimes I forget. There we go. It's like it gets little boogers in there, and then it just keeps squirting that booger in there. Okay, there is our background. And then I had you guys on the list cut a piece of glitter paper or gunmetal paper, and it is going to be, I just love it. It's a rich glitter. I found this in my stash, and unfortunately it looks like this color has been discontinued. Actually, the whole company has been gone. But a dark gray, a gunmetal, whatever you have, black would be great, glitter paper. It's going to be 4 1/2 by 5 3/4. Make sure it's right. 4 1/2 by 5 3/4. Yes. Then we're going to grab our Halloween die. So the die that says Halloween, I loved this font. I love this shape. I thought it was perfect for these cards. We're going to die cut that out. So what I like to do is cut the center. This is going to be a card mat, so we're going to cut the center out of it because we're not going to see all that other space. And why not have a glittery word that's going to match our card, and we're conserving our cardstock by cutting out the center of it. So we like to call it like gutting your paper, because you're not going to see that anyways. It's going to be covered, so why not cut your dies? Why not cut stuff out of the center of that? And I'm going to do that on quite a few of these. Quite a few of these I've done that. So we're just cutting Happy Halloween. The Happy Halloween was not in your kit. This was one of those add-on ones that we had available. But use whatever sentiment you have. I'm not sure if Deanna has any left, but Scrapbook-N-Memories, I think we're down to our last maybe 3 or 4 of this Happy Halloween. And you guys can grab them on the website. Because if you comment here, somebody's going to go on the website and steal it before we make it to the store tomorrow to pull and ring them up. Okay, so now I'm just punching out the center. Are there any questions while I'm very slowly punching this out? Probably should have die cut it twice because this paper is really thick. It looks like a lot of you are just kind of watching and taking notes, not crafting tonight. Yeah, I'm going to cut this again because I'm struggling to get that out. Oh, Susan is on vacation. Awesome. What? Catching us from vacation. I love it. Okay, I'm just going to line that guy back up in there. We're just going to die cut him again. Like I said, I hope you guys are enjoying the Crafty Hour series that we've been doing. We've already have the rest of the year planned out. So you guys are in for a real treat. We've got some really cool stuff coming. Oh, and I destroyed that one. So we're going to try again. This is Craft and Late Night with Kourtney. You get the bloopers. This This one is just really thick paper. Oop, what was that? The next one we have will be fall, which I think we're all sold out on that one, so I cannot wait to see what the designers come up with. And I might just move on from picking this out, because then we're going to glue this on. So we're going to glue our fractured card on top of that, and when you glue it on, make sure not to put glue where the holes are, otherwise you will glue it to your table. I know none of you have ever done that before, right? Ask me how I know. I am so excited that Helmar is back in stock. This is the best glue to use on these glitter papers and the metallics, because you get that little wiggle room. You get to kind of wiggle it in. Okay, so there is our card base. Got that all done. We do need to do a little bit more die cutting. We got to die cut a tree out. I guess I should have signed homework for myself too. We got to die cut a tree out still, and we need to die cut a house out, because there's going to be a trick on that also. Yeah, I'm on the struggle bus with this. Okay, we're going to move on. You guys got how to do that. I will add that later. We're going to cut a tree out, and we're going to cut a house. So let me find, there's our tree, there's our haunted house. We're just going to cut those out in black cardstock. So we're just using black cardstock for those. Any scrap cardstock is fine. I am going to say I was very surprised on the sizing of these dies. When I opened them up, I was like, ooh, those were a little bit smaller than I thought. But it's perfect to build these little scenes with. So it was all okay. Okay, so we're doing one little tree. And then one haunted house. Tree and a haunted house. Then for the haunted house, what I wanted was I wanted yellow shining through the windows. See that? I wanted to look like, kind of match this haunted house and make it look like the ghost or home, somebody's home. So we're gonna do that also in a second, and I'll show you how to take, again, scraps. We're just gonna take scraps to do that. We're gonna glue the tree down. And on the tree, I'm not putting glue at the very top because I don't want these guys glued down flat. I kind of want them to kind of move a little bit and have movement. And I love moons that shine through those little twiggly trees. So we're just going to kind of cover it on the moon a little bit. And then we're going to take our little haunted house. We're going to grab some scrap white cardstock, our yellow blending tool, and our yellow ink. And we're going to ink up that strip of paper yellow. I mean, if you can never find the right color cardstock and we want it to match what we already did in the moon, just make your own. Use your inks. Use your inks for more than just stamping. You can build layers with them. You can build scenes with them. There is so much that you can do with your ink. So then what we're going to do is just put it behind those windows. And then that way it is going to shine through. So I'm just going to apply my glue, just my liquid, to the back side of this haunted house. And then I'm going to stick it. Stick it on that yellow, so the yellow are shining through the windows. Got a little carried away with the wet glue, but that's okay. And whatever is kind of poking out, we're just going to cut that off. Okay, I'm just kind of loosely, not even being careful about it, just snipping off whatever is showing that I don't want to show. Oop, is that a window? That's a window. We want that to show. This one we don't, though. Like I said, I'm not being careful about it. It's the back side. And that just makes it come to life. That little black haunted house is cute, but I wanted him to come to life. Look at that. Look at the difference it makes. Okay, I still have to do just a little bit in the top ones. So let me add a little glue on there. Kind of put that on there. And then again, just snip it. And look at that. Now we have an eerie haunted house. Is that not cool? Love it. Okay, so let me move that stuff out of the way. And we are going to put pop dots onto our little haunted house. He has to be popped. Got to have a little bit of dimension to our scene. So I'm going to put pop dots on the back of the entire haunted house. Spooky house. And then that's just going to get popped right in the corner of our fractured piece, kind of overlapping our scary house, our little haunted house. Isn't that cute? Okay, and then the last thing you're going to do, I was struggling with mine, it didn't die cut. You're going to take the Happy Halloween, I glued this flat, and then I glued it over the haunted house to give it a little bit of dimension. I didn't want to have to sit and try to figure out how to get pop dots to stick to it, so I just kind of overlapped it and popped it onto the house. So that will be how you finish that one off. Okay? Perfect. Any questions so far? We're doing good? Doing great. Okay. Let me move those guys out. We're going to come back to card number 1. Card number 1. We're coming back to that one. So card number 1, remember we have our paste drying. Our paste should be dry by now. Card number 1. We should be dry now, so let's take a peek. Let me get a drink. It's pumpkin spice chai latte season. Oh my gosh. Heaven. Okay, so we've got that fractured on there. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a ghosting technique this time. So we are going to grab the white ink pad. I use Picket Fence. Use whatever white ink pad you have. Maybe you have the unicorn. Maybe you have the Yeti. Whatever you have. But I loved this stencil that had these ghosts on it. And let me just make sure this is dry so I don't mush it. Yeah, we're dry. We're good. And again, I need to black the outside. I didn't do that yet. Let me just get a little black on here. The black, the ink in your edges just kind of gives it that finalized edge. And when you're doing all the other techniques and stuff to the card, it looks kind of blah if you don't finish those edges. So I always ink the edges of my cards if I'm doing techniques and mixed media and stuff like that on there. So let me kind of get some of the black off my mat so we don't get it in the white. Okay. Oop, throw it on the floor. Got it. I love these stencils, and I thought, oh my gosh, I somehow have to use this stencil. And Jo used it where she cut hers out, which is awesome. That gives it a really cool effect. But I kind of wanted him peeking behind the graveyard and peeking through the scene. So we're going to kind of ghost him on. And that's why I called it a ghosting technique. Because he's kind of like eerie and coming out of the background, but yet he's not predominant. If I would have done him in white paper and cut him out, then he would have really stood out. And I didn't want him to stand out. I wanted him to basically be faded into the background. So that's where we're going to take our white ink, our picket fence, whatever ink you have, our little blending brushes, and we are going to ink it up with white. Okay? And I actually hit this with 2 layers of white because it didn't pop enough the first time. So I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to do 1 layer of white, and you can lift it up and you can kind of see him. I'm going to take my heat tool and just dry him. I'm going to dry him off because we are going to do another layer on top, and you got to make sure that ink is dry. So I'm just hitting him a little bit with the heat tool. Just make sure he's dry. Oxide inks dry pretty quick. They dry fast. The next thing I'm going to do is he needs a face. So we're going to grab the ink pad and we're going to grab a little stamp. I like this little one in the corner. Kind of reminds me of Scream. Remember the movie Scream? Yes, I am a 90s child, 80s, 90s, and that reminds me of that. So we're going to take archival ink, which is permanent ink, and we're going to stamp the face on our ghost. Okay? Now, I was looking at it, and I'm like, gosh, that really stands out. I don't want that face standing out that much. So what we're going to do is hit it with the heat tool again and make sure it's dry. And then we're going to put white over the top of it again. And that's going to make it kind of fade to the background. It's going to fade to the background so it's not like in your face kind of ink. So let me dry that really quick. And you want to make sure your black is dry. Otherwise, when you go into your white ink pad, you're going to end up with a gray ink pad that is custom created and custom colored. Ask me how I know. Okay, so we're going to line that stencil back up. Line him back up with a little ghosty. Ooh, how are we doing on time? I really want to get to that haunted house. So I think we're doing good. I got 20 minutes. We're almost there. So we're going to ink that white. And this is going to cover his face so it's not as bright, not in your face. And it's going to make him, whoop, a little bit more white. And look at that. Is that not cute? And I'm calling that my ghosting technique. He is literally a ghost, and he's fading into the background. Little ghosting technique. Didn't know I was a comedian. Thank you. I'll be here all day. Ching. Okay. Anyways, there's our ghost. Isn't he adorable? I love it. That was kind of one of those happy, I wonder what if I do this. And what I love about him, like I said, he's like a ghost. You can see through him. So you can see the leaves. You can see the bats. You can see the stuff in the background. So he is literally ghosted. Ghosted. Okay? Okay, so to finish this card off, you're going to cut your orange piece of paper 4 1/4 by 5 3/4. This is all from that Miri cardstock pack, that hunky-dory one that Deanna and I had. That was the limited edition one that has 3 sheets of each foil in there. That's what all this Miri cardstock is from. I think we are down to our last maybe 6 or 7 of these packs. And when they are gone, they are gone. So you want to make sure to grab yours because we've been using it a lot lately. Okay, so we've got our orange, we've got our black. Let me just glue these together. Our black is 4 1/4 by 6. And like I said, I'm just making card fronts right now. You can glue it onto your card bases later. The paper really kind of spoke for itself, and I kind of tried to design them smaller, but I designed the card and then I'm like, ooh, it needs a layer. So I added a layer and then I'm like, ooh, it needs another layer. So I added another layer and my cards kept growing. So that's kind of how they kept getting bigger and bigger, because I loved this paper and I didn't want to cover a lot of this paper up. I really wanted to make it a focal point. Okay. I love the Helmar, gives me some wiggle time. So if that's not straight, I got time to wiggle it and get it into place. Make sure everything's good and flat. There we go. So there is our ghosting card. So the last thing we'll do to this, again, is add that happy Halloween sentiment. But we haven't die cut this yet because we got to get this out of another piece of paper. So that is going to be, like I said, we're kind of bouncing around a little bit. Oh, I need to put some more glue on there. It is so hot here right now. It's like everything is just drying before I get it down. Yep, got to squeeze. No, I think I'll do it later, and then I'm like, no, I got to do it now because it's bothering me. There we go. I like that little needle on this guy. I can just kind of shoot that glue in there. There we go. Okay, so there's that. So that's going to bring us to card number 3. Card number 3. Card number 3 is kind of a bonus card because we're going to be using that embossing folder. But first, we got to build our layers. So we've got that gunmetal and we've got that purple edge. Your gunmetal piece is going to be 4 by 5 3/4. And this is also out of that mirror set from Hunky Dory, the limited edition set. So we got 4 by 5 3/4. And then we're going to have the purple, which is 4 1/4 by 6, which was pretty much that size. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to cut Happy Halloween out of the center of this. The gunmetal one goes on our ghost card. Our purple one goes on our haunted house card. So we're going to use both of those. We're getting our bang for our buck out of our mirror cardstocks. So let me grab that Happy Halloween. Oh, thank you, Amy. She says she's excited for this card. This embossing folder sang to me. I just loved it, and it literally sang to me, and I'm like, oh, I hope guys have ink. You guys have ink pads, or you play with this, or watercolors, because it is very lovely to kind of learn. So cut your pieces out. You're going to cut out your purple. I'm just going to throw him to the side. I just wanted to make sure to get these cut out before you started gluing stuff down, because once you glue it down, it's too late to go back. Okay, we got 15 minutes. We are doing good. Doing good. Oh, I need to get out my platform for the embossing folder. Okay, so there's our 2 words. There's our purple and our gunmetal. We'll throw those to the side. We're done with that. Okay, so you're going to grab a piece of white cardstock. I'm not worrying about the size of it right now because once you emboss something, the size kind of changes on it. So we're going to grab that set that has the embossing folder and the stencil on it. Oh, thank you. Lucille said she played with it and loved it. So I'm going to show you 2 different things. One thing is you can take, I'm going to show you 3 different things. And Joe kind of showed you this. You can take your ink pads and you can rub your ink pad on here and then emboss with it, okay? So here's what I call the purple side or the back side and then the clear side. If you ink up this side, ink up the purple side, this is what you're going to get. So you're going to get a black sky, you're going to get an outline of your houses and stuff. So you're going to get something that looks like this, which is awesome. So then you can take your stencil and you can color your tree brown. You can color your pumpkins orange. You can color your moon. You can color whatever you want and kind of color it in. Or you could just leave it black, just like that. Or you could do it in purple or do it a different color. So that is inking the purple side. This is just scrap paper. I just take scrap paper sometimes and play with it and see what you get. Okay? Now wait for it. But wait, there's more. So then I inked up the clear side. I inked up the clear side with black, and this is what I got. So look at this. Same folder. One I inked the front, one I inked the back, and here's what you get. Two different scenes. You get like a positive scene, you get like a negative scene. You'll also notice your house flipped. So your whole scene kind of flips. Okay? All right, enough of that. So that was just kind of a little something to kind of show you what you can get with that. We are just going to do white. I know, kind of boring. Wah, wah, wah. We're just going to do white. Because what we're going to do is go back in and color it. So let me get my pieces here. I've got my white piece of paper. I'm going to lightly mist it with some water. That way when we emboss it, it's not going to crack and break. And let me line it up with the bottom here with my pumpkins. Okay. And we're going to crank it through. So like I said, this was one of the bonus items. It did not come in your kit. Oops, I got too many layers in. Everything has a different layer. When in doubt, back it up. Okay, now it's not enough layers. Probably because my plates are bent. Nope. Sorry guys, we're going to be on the struggle bus here. There we go. Had too many shims open. Too many shims open. But yeah, I thought the positive and negative gave it a whole different look if you just wanted to do those black pieces. And look, my paper shifted. So we're going to try that again. See, crafting with Kourtney, never a dull moment. My paper shifted. So let's just emboss him again. Spritz it with some water. Okay, better this time. Let me move all that out. Okay, so there is our haunted house. Okay, there's our scene. What we need to do now is kind of ink it up and build our layer. So I'm going to hit it with the heat tool and just dry it. Make sure everything's dry. Because remember we kind of hit it with some water. So it might be just a hair wet. But I want it dry before we do this next thing. And I also want to clean, again, that black off my mat. I just seem to have black everywhere, don't I? Okay, so there's our haunted house. Now we need to build kind of our scene. So let me pull out our colors. Oop, I'm missing my spiced. Did I do that one with spiced? Hold on one sec. Grab my wild honey. I want something a little bit orangier. Okay, wild honey. So we're going to take our inks, and I'm going to take some wild honey, and we're going to go in right here. Wild honey. Here's some wild honey. Then we're going to take our greens, and I've got citron, and we're going to come in with our citron and go right in here. Okay, that's pretty. Then I'm going to go in peeled paint, which is a little bit darker green. And I'm going to go along the bottom because I want darker in here. We're going to go in and shade it some more. I'm going along the bottom, maybe up at the top, so it gives us kind of that shading. Okay, so we got our green, we got our that. Then we're going to come in with, we need some purple now. So our Villainous Potion, come in with our purple. And for our purple, we are just going to come up and around. Getting it nice and dark. And then we're going to finish it off with some blue. Okay, so there is kind of our Halloween scene. I'm happy with that. That's what we've got. Okay, so that's just kind of using all of our inks, inking up our background, and building our Halloween scene. I used oxide ink. So something that's nice about oxide inks is they're water activated. Oh, right? That's what I was trying to go with. It was kind of a Harvest Moon kind of effect. So what we're going to do is they're water activated. So I'm going to go in with a paper towel, not my dirty rag this time, and I'm going to take my water brush, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to paint the moon, okay? We are just going to go in here, and I'm not worrying about hitting those bats or hitting any of that area, and I'm applying a lot of water. In fact, I'm going to put some water out here on my mat, and I'm hitting it with water. And then when you hit it with your paper towel, what it's doing is it is lifting that color. So I am pulling the color out. The more water you get it in, the more it's going to pull that color. Now, I just used cardstock. I didn't use watercolor paper. So I don't want to get too carried away, because if you get too much, then, go away bug, then it starts pilling, and we don't want that to happen. But we're just going to go in, get all this wet, dab it, and see how we are pulling the color off of that. We're pulling the color out. So now the moon is not blending in with that background. Ooh, I only have 5 minutes. I get 10 over, right? Since they got 10 over. I think I can do her in 10, because I want to show you the techniques on here. So there I pulled. Can you see that? See how it pulled the color out of that moon? And you'll kind of see it in the background there. See how it's lighter? It's pulling that color out. And it's doing that because this is water reactive ink. Oxide inks will do this. Distress inks will do this. Dye-based inks will do this. Your pink fresh ink. So anything that's a dye-based ink is water reactive. I also did it. I'm going to skip it on this part, but I also went down and did my road and lighten the road too, but I'm going to skip that on this part. So now I'm going to hit this with my heat tool to make sure it's dry, because now we're going to go in and start adding the black. And when we start adding the black, all these colors start to pop. It's like magic when they start popping. And see how it dries? It starts popping even more. Okay, so I'm going to take my black ink now and our ink pad, and we're going to start adding that detail, which is going to make everything pop. So I'm just using black soot and my blendy brush, and what we're going to do is just line everything up. So this stencil right there is going to line up with the clouds. Okay, we're going to line the clouds up, and we're going to stencil them black. Try not to hit that cloud because he is not for this stencil. He's going to be for the next one. And look at that. Oh, look at that. Does that not pop? Yes. I absolutely love this set. I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with this set. I want to see those positives. I want to see the negatives. I want to see you do them in different colors too. I mean, this stencil, you could also do paste with these. You don't have to just do that. Oh my gosh. See, isn't that awesome? Okay, so let's make our house black. Our haunted house needs to be black. I got a little carried away with the black, but I liked it because the more black items you kind of have on your card, the more those background colors really pop. This is where you have to be careful to kind of clean your stencil every now and then. Otherwise, you start getting black and you stick your finger in it. Okay, we're going to do the bats. Oh, thank you, Fran. I love to do tips and techniques and try to teach you guys something new. So maybe something you haven't played with or haven't done before. I really kind of want to focus on that. Okay, I'm going to try to line this tree up better than my original tree. My original tree is not lined up at all, but it's okay. It still looks really cool. Oop, and that just shifted. That's okay. It'll have a ghosting effect to it. I should have brought my waffle flower mat home. It's those new sticky mats that holds down the stencils in your paper. Totally meant to bring that home to do this with, and I forgot it at the store. Okay, so now we're going to go up here and do this tree. Is this not awesome? Like I said, I cannot wait to see what you guys post. So make sure to go over to that Crafty Hour Creations group, and then my girls post in the Scoop group too if you want. And I can't wait to see your creations. Okay, pumpkins. We're going to do the pumpkins next. I'm trying to go in order of the stencil from top to bottom. That way, since I'm being lazy and not cleaning the stencil each time, that I don't end up with a lot of black all over the place and I don't have a place to hold it down. Okay. Next up are the tombstones. And I love Diane's card. Diane did a card with this embossing folder, and she left it white. It is very clean. It is very cute. Uh-oh, I got off on the edge. But hers is all white, and it looks fantastic in that, too. We might be cutting that off anyways. Okay, so there is that. Let me throw this in the stencil bucket. Throw that in a bucket of water to clean later. Now we have to cut this down. So we're going to cut it down to 3 3/4 by 5.5. 3 3/4 by 5.5. That says white paper. It used to be white. And I'm just going to kind of go and look at the pattern. So I cut off my boo-boo on that side. Now we'll cut off some on this side to kind of even up our pattern. Okay, there's our 3 3/4 by 5.5. We might be 5.5. Oh, we're already 5.5. Look at that. Oh, thank you, Beth Bill. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. There we go. Now we got to add black to the outside because that is going to finish and darken the whole thing and just bring it together. And then my last thing I got to do is a little bit of spritz and flick. We got to have some inky, painty goodness on here too. And the nice thing about oxide inks, when they dry, they kind of feather out and lighten. They'll kind of lighten a little bit. Look at that. Is that not fabulous? Oh my gosh, I love it. Pardon the reach. I keep reaching to put my brushes in my thing. So there is our Halloween scene. Again, like I said, I would go in and pull out the color on this to kind of make it stand out a little bit. Then on mine, you can see I did some spritzing and flicking. I did some gold and I did some white. So for the gold, I take, let me get my splat box. Otherwise, I end up with stuff all over the place. And this will fit under my camera, right? Yep, there we go. So I'm going to take my water brush and my gold watercolors. And I'm just going to pick up some water. Where's my water at? Almost put it in my drinking water. We don't want to do that. And we're going to pull up some of that gold. And I want it to be very liquidy. Very liquidy. So I'm adding lots of water to it. Then I'm going to go in. Whoop, and we're just going to splat it on. And it's funny, I use the box to try to keep it contained, and well, it doesn't always stay contained. Okay, so there is some gold splats. I know, right? I got my brush, my drink, I have my pumpkin spice latte, chai latte, and I don't want the brush to go in that. I don't need. So there's my gold. See how kind of cool that is? And then I decided it needed some white too. So let me just dry that a little bit. The white I used was the Dina Wakley Gloss Spray. You can use watered down paint. You can use alcohol inks. You can use whatever you've got. So let me mix that up. And for this, all I'm going to do, and I try not to, but you know, sometimes I spill the bottle. I'm going to hold it and I'm just going to tap. I'm going to dip the straw and tap to add my white drops. And to me, a Halloween scene or card or all these inky kind of mixed media, just by adding splats, just to me finalizes these cards. It's like it just needs some splats. Okay, so there is that. All right, and that is my time. So let me flip everything over. So to finish this up, all you're going to do is mat that on the gunmetal, mat it on your purple, and add your Halloween sentiment. So here are the 3 cards. Oops, that's not the right one. 3 cards back in. For those. So we played with the fractured technique. We played with gutting your cardstock for your sentiments, stencil paste, a ghosting technique, some stenciling, some inking, some splatting. We threw in a lot of techniques in this class because that was kind of my passion. So I love mixed media. I love playing with products, and this is so much fun. I don't know if Deanna has any spots left or not, but we're also doing the mixed media mixology number 4. I know I still have some spots left. I think we have 4 spots left. So if you love techniques and mixed media, join that class because you will learn so much from me, and Stacy will be doing that. And I cannot wait to see your guys' cards. So post your cards, post what you're doing. We love to see it over in the Crafty Hour Creations group. And that's what we've got for tonight. So thank you everybody for joining us. And don't forget, tomorrow, the next Crafty Hour goes live at 9 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Central. Deanna will be doing a live reveal to show you what's in this kit. And oh my gosh, it is packed again. I was working on kitting them today. And you guys are in for a treat. It's going to be another great class. So those will go live. Make sure to watch the live announcement. It will be on both of our websites at that time for registration. So thank you everybody for tuning in and joining me tonight. And we will see you in the next Crafty Hours. So have a wonderful night, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.